All right, so let's talk about some Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. This 13-minute gameplay reveal got put up today. All the major outlets covered it, and I wanted to put my 2 cents in here as well. I actually got a comment from a subscriber, Chisomo, I believe is how you say your name, wanted to know my thoughts about it. So I said, absolutely, let's get into it. You guys know that I'm not as excited as probably some of you are when it comes to this game. I don't have the level of hype that I normally have going into a game, and that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have a fantastic time with this game. This game might blow me away, and I hope that it does. Sometimes hype can kill your experience with a game, but sometimes not having hype after you play a game can make things better. And I want to have more hype going into this game, but I simply don't. I've watched all the major outlets cover this game today, do commentary. I've even seen some of the smaller news outlets cover it, and it's kind of weird, right? Because we're both watching the same footage, okay? And some of the outlets are saying, oh yeah, man, they're innovating and they're doing things new, and Chloe does not feel like a reskinned Nathan. I've heard that in some of the outlets. And then you go to other outlets and they're like, oh yeah, she has all the same movements, she's just a reskinned Nathan. It's kind of funny, right? When we're all watching the same footage and you get those types of opinions, it's like, well, either she is a reskinned Nathan or she's not. Surely she can't be both if we're all playing, or if we're all seeing the exact same footage. And some of these guys have actually played the game, and we're still getting difference of opinions. And the only conclusion I can come to when I hear opinions like that, especially when you're trying to come at it from an objective standpoint, is that you have some people out there who are married to the Uncharted franchise. What I mean by that, like, sometimes we can get so married to a game or a developer, a publisher, or a franchise that they can do no wrong, and no matter what they put out, it's amazing. And that's all subjective, and there's nothing wrong with that. Be happy with whatever game you think about that way, right? But I'm not married to any franchise. And even though Uncharted is the game that got me trophy hunting, you know, Uncharted 1 was the game that got me trophy hunting. It's the game that got me to buy my PS3. Otherwise, I was like, I don't really need this system. I don't see a need for it. And Uncharted was the game that got me to throw down that cash. I'm not married to this game, and the reason why I'm not so hyped about this game, guys, is because there's really nothing new. I've seen one thing that's new so far, and that would be the lock picking mechanic that you get to do with Chloe. Now, there may be some stuff that we haven't seen yet, right? And that's cool. But the only thing that I have not seen that's quote unquote brand new is that. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, right? If you enjoyed Uncharted 4. If you enjoyed Uncharted 4, this is kind of an extension of that. Congratulations, you've got the game you wanted. You've got your hype, you know, in the bag. For me, you guys know I wasn't a fan. I wasn't as much of a fan of Uncharted 4 than the previous 3. I didn't like the stealth mechanics. I just still feel like they don't fit within that world. Now, obviously, we're watching on screen right now. She's you know, stealth is going to play a big part in her role with this game. I probably would do 0 stealth when I play this. I don't feel like this game warrants stealth, this franchise. I just don't. I feel like it should be kind of just all action, and I'm glad that they're giving me the ability to choose that. So it's not necessarily a true negative mark, but you get my point. By having stealth, you have to open up the level, you have to add more people, and thus you get a different feel for the game than you did in Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. That very linear experience, I prefer that. So that's just, it's a taste thing, it's a preference thing. Doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means, for me, I would prefer that kind of all-out action. And I know that there's people out there who's going to say, well, there was stealth in the other games. Yeah, there was, but it was cover stealth like you're seeing right now. It wasn't completely like going inside of grass and being stealthy like Assassin's Creed, right? It wasn't that kind of stealth. You always had to be behind cover, which meant you always felt vulnerable because you weren't covered on all sides. Does that make sense? Anybody could have seen you at any time. When you can go inside of a bush and nobody can see you. I remember in Uncharted 4, I was showing you guys in one of my videos how broke that mechanic was, because you could toss a grenade from a bush while an enemy was standing next to you, even on the hardest difficulty, and they wouldn't see you. And then your teammate would go around and just ninja kill everybody on the map sometimes. I have a video of that up on the channel. And it was like, you don't really have to do nothing. You just lay in the bush and the enemies come to you, or you get close enough to them and your teammate chokes them out for you. I just didn't like that. I did not like that. But like I said, that's just pure preference. So that's the standpoint I'm coming at with my talk that I'm giving you guys now. Is I'm in the camp that thinks this is going to be a good game. Here's another thing too, journal note taking. We already saw that in Uncharted 4. We've seen all this stuff in Uncharted 4. So because like I said, Uncharted 4 wasn't as good of an experience for me as I wanted it to be, that's how I'm going into this game. So I guess I'm siding with the people who are saying that there's nothing really new with this. There's nothing innovative. We are going to get the dynamic between Chloe and Nadine. That's cool. But other than that, guys, there's nothing really new here. And does it warrant it being a brand new game, right? I know this started out being a DLC that they were going to put out for Uncharted 4. Not that it matters because it's the same content, but they might have done better with this just saying it was a DLC. Because then I feel like this kind of stuff could have been excused, right? Because it's a DLC. But the second that they said, hey, we're going to make this a brand new game, right? A brand new extension of the universe, if you will. Then I was like, okay, well, what are you going to do in it that's new? And there's really nothing new here. It's kind of like what's going on right now with Destiny, right? Destiny 2's dropping, and a lot of people are saying, oh, Destiny 2 is just like Destiny 1.5. There's nothing that it looks the same, blah, blah, but it doesn't. It doesn't. They have made a ton of changes in Destiny 2 from Destiny 1. I mean, a absolute ton of changes. The PvP's different. A lot of the PvE's different. They've got new abilities, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the list goes on and on for all the changes that they've made, whether you like it or not, right? Remember, don't be married to a franchise. Whether you like Destiny 2 or not, they have made a ton of changes in Destiny 2 from Destiny 1. And to me, that warrants them being a brand new game, not like a 1.5. But in this game, there hasn't been any... There hasn't been any upgrades to the game unless you count that lockpicking that we've seen already. Yet this game tends to be getting a lot of praise. Does that make sense? Like, this game gets a pass, whereas something like Destiny 2, which has made a ton of changes, right, wrong, or indifferent, whether you like them or not, they have made changes, is not getting, it's getting the heat. And I think that it should be, I think if you're really looking at games objectively, right, then it should almost be flipped. Destiny 2 should be getting credit for at least trying some new stuff, trying to make their game different and better. And this game right here should be getting the dislikes on YouTube because it really hasn't done anything new. You know what I mean? But it's not that way, because we get married to games and then we give certain franchises a pass and we stop looking at games objectively. And I feel like that's where we're at right now. Call of Duty, this happens all year, every year with Call of Duty. It always gets a lot of hate, but they do make a lot of changes. A lot of times the entire kill streak list will change. The movement changes, blah, blah, blah. And they get dislikes every single year, right? So I just don't get it personally. I don't get it at all, how we kind of have this double standard when it comes to games. But just looking at this game from an objective standpoint, there's nothing new here, like I said, except for that lockpicking ability and the fact that you're going to be rolling with 2 new characters. Now, if that's cool with you, if that's all you need to, get hyped, then man, you're there. I need more than that. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I'm coming from. That doesn't mean I ain't going to play it. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to like it. I think this is going to be a good game. I don't know if it'll be a great game, right? I don't know if it'll be great. It's all going to come down to the story, because there's nothing happening within the universe, within this game, within the gameplay mechanics that's going to tip it over the scale, if that makes sense. It's all going to come down to the sheer story. Now, look, Naughty Dog knows how to deliver some stories, man. So in that regard, I do have high hopes for it, but I'm just not hyped. I'm going to play it. I'm going to buy it on day one, but I just hope that it blows me away. I hope that it puts me in my place. You know what I mean? Oh, this is another thing too, right here. What are these things called? Pitons, I think. But that's another thing that was in Uncharted 4 that I didn't really even see a use for, because all you got to do instead of having that stuff there where you can put that thing in is just have another ledge to climb up on. Like, these were things that I didn't really understand about Uncharted 4. Meanwhile, in Uncharted 4, you've got grenades that you can't throw back, which I felt like would have been a much better mechanic to have in Uncharted 4 than what they had than this. Does that make sense? It's almost like in Uncharted 4, it's almost like they put in things in Uncharted 4 and traded out things like the ability to throw back grenades, which was great in Uncharted 3, for this kind of stuff, which I didn't understand. And you guys know the grenades in Uncharted 4 were weird. You could be ledging up on something, right? You could be hanging off a ledge, and all of a sudden somebody tossed a grenade, and guess what? The grenade would stick on top of the ledge right by your finger holds. Like, that shouldn't happen. Now, if I could throw back grenades, that would be cool. But I don't know about you guys, but I died a lot to grenades just landing in these weird spots magically. And it's probably going to be the same way in this game, which is annoying for a player like me. I don't get that. Meanwhile, I get this rope that I can swing on, but I don't find that to be all that important. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, the levels have it where you can use it, but I only used it when I had to traverse in and out of an area. Like, I didn't use it to like necessarily as a strategy to run around and get my kills. I didn't think it was that necessary. Does that make sense? I didn't think the bushes were necessary, but in some cases you had to use them, especially on the brutal difficulty, because of just the way that they made the level, right? And it slowed the gameplay down a lot. For me, it did. Like, it slowed everything down. And like I said, once you start putting in them bushes and stealth, you have to add enemies and you have to change the way that the game plays. Now, some of you enjoyed that change. I just didn't. I didn't enjoy the slower pace in some of these levels. I wanted it to be a little bit more action and move along. I remember there was some levels I would spend, because, you know, I write guides. I would spend 3-4 hours there trying to figure out good strategies because there was 25,000 different ways that you could die. You see what I'm saying? And I was like, man, is this all needed? Like, is this really all needed? And I remember even playing Uncharted 4 thinking to myself, I really can't wait for this to end. Even on my blind run in the game, I was like, I really just want to get done with this game. I feel like it's dragging on and on and on. I mean, some of the levels were super long. Like I said, some of the combat sequences were pretty long. And I was like, I just want to get through this. And I've never said that before about an Uncharted game ever. Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, I was like, oh, please don't let this end. But in Uncharted 4, I was like, this is just playing too slow for me. Please end. I just want to see the credits. And that's just personal to me. And they said this game right here is going to be roughly 8 to 10 hours long. That's what everybody's saying. It's going to be roughly the same, I guess roughly the same size as like the initial 3 Uncharted. So that's good. I mean, I hope it plays fast. You know what I mean? I hope you can get through it fast. I don't want this to be a 25-hour long experience. I personally don't. But that's kind of my thoughts, man. I'm not hyped. I'm not hating on it, but it's just going to drop on the 22nd, and I'm going to play it and then put my trophies up. And I hope that the storyline is amazing. That's all I can say about this, guys. I'm way more hyped about things like Assassin's Creed, which is going to be dropping. They've done a lot of changes in their game. I'm way more hyped about games like that at this particular stage based on what I saw. God of War, you know what I mean? That's going to play completely different. These are the games that I'm looking forward to, and not necessarily Uncharted. Like I said, not hating. This is just how I look at things very objectively. There's just simply going to be nothing new here except for the story and the fact that she can lockpick. And I guarantee you that's probably not even going to be that. It's probably not even going to be that special once we get there. Like, you probably won't even need to lockpick half the stuff in the game. It's probably going to be a trophy for it. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, we're probably going to look back and go, what was really necessary there? She could have just opened the thing. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my where I'm coming at this game from, right? Simply nothing new. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great adventure, or it's going to be a good adventure. We just don't know if it's going to be a great adventure. And those are my thoughts. All right, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I'll see you guys right back here tomorrow.